This is our town, the place we call home.
Welcome to This Is Our Town with Jeff Yorkie, a local public affairs presentation on MonroeCountyRadio.com.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to our town. And speaking of our town, we're going to bring back an old timer, or an old time business is coming back to our town, so to speak. They've never really left, but kind of have left. And we're talking about Allen Chevrolet Cadillac. And I have John Allen here on the show. John, welcome back, I guess, right?
Yes. It's good to be back. Our name was on the building, but you couldn't find an Allen in it. So
yeah, I know. You could for a while, and then all of a sudden, no more Allens, but
Correct.
just the name.
Yeah,
and
just the name.
It was blank Allen.
Yes.
And if you drive past blank Allen Chevrolet Cadillac right now, right? It'll say do you still have the big yellow stickers?
Yeah, I
up
still got the big yellow sign on it, and Cadillac stopped out earlier this week, and they were like, "Yeah, you guys need to change that." And we're like, "Yeah, we'll get on that."
Yeah.
But
Not right now.
I kind of like it actually. So
And I sense, John, some maybe a little hard feelings. Would that be fair?
yeah, it was a rough road, and even now they're not making it easy on us.
So this is, and let's just talk about this. This is the everybody loves a comeback, and this is one of those cool comeback stories.
Yeah, thank you.
But in order for it to get cool, it's got to suck first. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the sucky part. Let's talk about what happened. This is like a terrible time for the Allen family back in the late 2008-9, that era, right?
Yes, correct.
So tell everybody what happened.
Yeah, like getting fired from a place with their name on the building.
Yeah,
that
crazy,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Of course, that's what we want to talk about. Remember, it's got to suck before we can have the comeback.
I remember that day. So, So we were, the economy wasn't going good, and General Motors. There was a lot of it with a bunch of General Motors stores and Chrysler stores. And
Right, they had filed bankruptcy.
They had filed bankruptcy and everything, and
everybody thought, "Hey, man, some of the dealerships maybe got to go." Right?
Yeah, they got to go, and and during this process, we were actually in the process of building a new dealership. If you've been to the dealership, you'll know we have a quick service oil change, and that was like the first step in it, and we spent a lot of money on that. And it was only open for maybe a year. And so they tell us that, you're going to get a FedEx envelope. And it will decide whether or not you're in business and whether or not what you spent your life savings on and have everything invested in is going to be worth anything. So they're like, "Oh, it's going to come it'll come on Tuesday." And so Tuesday comes and no envelope.
Yeah.
We're like, "All right, sweet." And then an email was sent out at the end of Tuesday saying there was a delay on some of the envelopes. Some more might be coming tomorrow.
So if you got the envelope, that was a bad thing.
That was a bad thing.
It wasn't that you get the envelope and it would tell you whether up or down. If you got the envelope,
FedEx envelope. It was
Okay.
FedEx envelope.
You didn't want it. You didn't.
I
want
remember that.
Okay.
FedEx envelope.
Yeah, I'll bet you did.
But so it came. It came the next day, and so that was that was the end of it.
Now you were about 25, something like that?
So
24, 25
yeah,
at
right
the
around
time?
there.
And
yeah.
so your dad was running the store.
He was running the dealership. When he got it, he had started to be sick.
Right. We'll get to that. No, was it you, and then you got a brother Michael and another brother
Michael was fresh out of
Mark,
college.
right?
Michael was a couple months out of college.
Yeah, and then you got a younger brother yet, right?
Yeah, younger brother Mark.
And were
he's
you guys
8 years
all
younger.
involved with the business at the time?
Mark was high school freshman, sophomore,
Okay.
high school.
Okay, so he was washing cars.
He was washing cars. Yeah. He got the at that time none of us had fun jobs.
Right,
So
right.
But he had the worst of the
Yeah,
non-fun
yeah,
jobs.
So you get the envelope.
Yep.
And you're now when does your dad find out that he's sick? Is it before he gets the envelope, or is after?
It was
Do you
it was
remember?
after. So it was he had back issues, and So that's what everybody thought. So
Yeah.
back issues, and it got to the point he couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
And so literally it was like a week or two, it felt like, after we get in the envelope, he couldn't get out of bed. And then so we're like, all right, and it's, I mean, I was 25 and my brother was 22 at the time. And, and we were like, yeah, we know what we're doing, but we really had no clue. And
Right.
looking back, and we were clueless.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, he got real sick. And so, yeah, it was a tough year.
And let's go back to the envelope for a second. The envelope basically says what?
It's
Because how does Stanford get in here? I'm sorry I said that. I should never have said that.
go ahead and mention the name. That's fine. And it's so my father deals with this by talking about it.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's basically 2 years of my life that are just blacked out.
So they come in and really they're kind of
a year later.
a year later.
It's a year later. So we get the envelope. It's saying, blah, blah, your franchise, is no longer void. Here's, pennies on the dollar, whatever.
Right.
And
So this lifelong investment now down the drain.
done.
You got
done.
nothing.
So that means the property's worth nothing, everything. I mean,
Right. So now you need some capital.
we need some
Stanford comes in.
a year later. So what happens is, so we tough through it, and so we get it in July. Cash for clunkers happens in August. We sell through the rest of our cars. Basically, they say is we're not going to send you new cars, which
Right.
means technically you're out of business,
Right.
and you can't do warranty work.
Right.
So we sell through basically the rest of our cars in August, and basically finishing up in September. We have to supply on used vehicles. The banks are all tightening up, so we can't borrow money to buy vehicles,
Yeah.
used vehicles. Other Chevy stores weren't very helpful in selling us their new cars,
Yeah.
because General Motors told them don't sell them to these dealerships.
Yeah.
So it was tough. I mean, we had there was a lot of people that we were friends with in different dealerships and everything like that. And push came to shoves, they turned their back on us.
Yeah.
And
That had to be rough.
it was really tough. And then the word started getting out that they're going to possibly hand out the franchises to, they're like, well, they need a Chevy store in Monroe, so that means they'll probably hand the Chevy store to somebody else. So the Allens definitely need to go away. So all the pressure came in, and a lot of people weren't nice to us because if we for sure were gone, that means it was going to be easier for them to possibly get the franchise.
Yeah.
And business-wise, I mean, you understand it, So
Bitter pill to swallow, but
it was a bitter
yeah.
pill to swallow, and so it wasn't easy for us. A lot of bad things were said about us, and it was tough. It was literally, I can almost say with confidence, every single day, probably for almost a year, somebody walked into our store and said, "When are you guys closing?"
Oh yeah.
Every day. Oh, I heard you guys were closing tomorrow. When are you guys closing? Every day.
Ugh.
And it was tough. And our father, he was he was dying right there in front of us.
Yeah.
We couldn't do anything to help. And
So your dad gets diagnosed with cancer.
not for another year.
Oh, not for another year?
Not for another year. I mean, they're thinking it's some weird disease, and they're like, "Are you sure you weren't in the Amazon on a hike?" And he was
Really?
like, "No, I wasn't in the Amazon. I was losing my franchise." And so I mean, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay. How about Nigeria?" And we're like, "No." So, it was that kind of weird disease they were kind of thinking. And, they did like multiple biopsies on him, just keep trying to find it. And this is through the year. And then so finally what happens is, so that happened, in September. And then they find out, in basically coming into the new year, that we have a chance of possibly fighting to get the franchise back. So, and, there are a lot of dealerships were taking them to court. And we thought we were going to have to go that route, but we were able to do it where we didn't have to take them to court. And they gave us the franchise back. But we had to secure floor plan, which means the money to buy the cars.
Yeah.
And they like to go off your previous year financial statement. And obviously, we didn't have a good year.
Yeah.
And so we had to partner up. And so we had, I believe, 60 days to secure floor plan.
Really?
So we had 60 days to find a partner. And, there was, our family's been in the business for a long, long time, so we knew a lot of people. And so we had a lot of people reach out to us, and a lot of people not offer a lot for half the business.
Yeah.
And so at the time, we thought was the best of the worst choices.
Yeah. Which was to give a little more than half.
And so they wanted, majority.
Yeah.
And, really didn't have a choice. It was like...
Did they tell you guys, did they say, listen, don't worry, John will still be able to work here?
Oh, yeah, we had a whole game plan in
Michael
place.
will still be able to
they'll
work
be great.
here.
I mean...
Dad.
We went, we grew up with them.
Yeah.
We knew them for, 30 years.
Yeah.
I grew up with their children.
Yeah.
Went to college with their son.
Yeah.
We knew them.
Right.
Like, in the past, I'd called them and asked them for advice.
Yeah.
And
so you thought this is, hey, you know what? It could be worse. We could be out altogether.
Yeah,
our name's still out here.
This is partnered up with who we consider, friends.
Friends, right?
And be like, this is working out good. God is good to us and blessed and everything. And they're like, yeah, great. We'll help you guys get this up and running and everything like this. And and then you guys can buy it back from us and everything like that. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. This worked out well. And then as soon as those papers were signed a couple months later.
A couple months later, yeah. Tell everybody what happened. Because a couple months later,
everybody was
John's no longer working at his own namesake, right?
Yeah, it was the first to go, was some of the key staff that stayed with us during that time. They left and they pushed them out real quick. And we had a lot invested, so and they weren't good to us. And so
you're out now. How long after the FedEx letter does Stanford have to come in and kind of help to hopefully bail you guys out?
It's about a year.
About a year.
Yeah,
so it's
it was a year. That's why I said it was about 2 years of almost blocked out. That year of not knowing what's going to happen, and then almost the year of they officially took over in October. I think it was of 10, and then by May of 11, I was out.
You were out.
I was out, and
now by this time does your dad find out about the diagnosis?
So he had found out about the cancer in that summer before the October when we started the partnerships and everything like this.
Because the treatment for your dad's cancer was pretty rough, wasn't it?
Yeah. So when we're signing the agreements, to this dealership, for this acquisition of this multi-million-dollar deal and everything like this, it's my dad had to sign, and he was barely coherent.
Yeah,
he was just so drugged up. I mean, how many hours of chemo and everything like this, and then let's do this, and so we were just basically trying to take the advice from whatever advisors we could find,
right,
and trying to make the best of a bad situation.
So okay, so now you're out. Your dad finds out he's got cancer. He's battling it. He battles it.
Yep.
And it's a long go of it for your dad, right?
Yeah,
he deals with it. I think the first treatment was like 11 months or something crazy.
It was nasty stuff. Our parents. We knew it wasn't good, but they knew all the stress that we had of just trying with the dealership and everything. So, just like I'm a father now, and I can see why you'd want to, you shelter your children.
Yeah.
And so they'd let us know it's bad, and but not to the extreme circumstance of it.
So John, you and your brother, both of your brothers actually, you guys all go to work someplace else, right?
Yeah, we did. So it's my brother Michael. He was doing finance, signing all the paperwork up and everything for the customers, and he only they were like, oh, he does a great job. And then 30 days later, they're like, no, you're not doing that anymore. And so he started selling, they're like, you need to sell cars. And they were pretty hard on him. And so our grandparents were living in California. And we had some college buddies who had a dealership in California. Mm-hmm. And we were going out to California during Christmas. Yeah, so we went out there and we were like, hey, since you're out there, we should talk to these friends and see if they have any openings.
Yeah.
And my brother was like, well, I don't know. I was like, well, think of it this way. If you're getting treated like crap, and you either can get treated like crap and sell in Michigan and sell cars, or you can get treated like crap and sell cars in California.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, I'm going to give this California thing a try. And he just moved back. So we came back, and he left like a month later and moved out to California, and he just moved back in February. And was buying a house in Carrington, closes early May.
We'll get there. Let's finish the sucky part of this story.
Yeah.
So
I like the good stuff, though.
I know. We'll get there. Be patient. So, John, you end up in Ann Arbor or something like that? Working in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, so
I
had, so fresh out of college, I just turned 23. I bought a house in basically downtown Ann Arbor at the time. And so I had a house. And so during this whole time that during the year that we lost, we weren't making any money, so I'm broke. Right. I got this mortgage and everything. And I mean, during that winter, I barely lived in Ann Arbor because I couldn't afford the gas to go back and forth. I couldn't afford to keep the heat above 55.
Man. So you get a job in
I had a mortgage, and so I made sure that was paid. Mm-hmm. And so I made sure my bills were paid, but I couldn't afford the drive and everything. So I during that year of when we weren't in the limbo of whether or not we were going to have the franchise or anything like that. So that was a tough winter.
So what have you been doing for the last 8 years? Up until February of this year.
Doing much better.
Yeah, I know you are now. What were you doing in the meantime?
Yeah, so we got back, and then I left in May, and I started all over, and I had to find out whether or not what I wanted to do. I thought about going to law school, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll be an attorney. I'd like to get my JD MBA.
Right.
And, let's do this. And I started investigating that, and I'm like, well, with this mortgage and going to law school, probably won't work. And I was like,
As an attorney, I can tell you're probably right.
Yes. I'm pretty good at this business stuff, so I figured that out.
Yeah.
And so I had somebody I highly respect in the industry. They said, why don't you make sure this is what you want to do? Do in the automotive industry. So I applied some places, and I had some people give me some pretty nice job offers. And I decided to take one that was just in sales. I had some people offer me some managerial jobs. And I was like, you know what, let's start in sales. Let's make sure I like this.
Yeah.
And let me prove it to myself that I can do it. And that was in May. And I got my teeth punched in, like hard, for a couple months.
It's a hard gig, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was just like I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm great and everything. And
don't forget, you're young too.
I was young,
yeah.
and the results weren't there. I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, but the results weren't there. So obviously, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I got my teeth punched in and everything, and and then I started coming up with the reality that the problem was me. And when I made that realization and investing in that, I need to invest in myself. Really invested in myself and in the training and doing things correctly. And I got really good at sales very, very quickly and did really, really well. And we're all the way to, I did very, very well to where I got my name out there really quick, where people were like, okay, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I got a very nice job offer because that was May. And by February, I had some nice job offers thrown at me.
as like a sales manager.
Yeah, as a manager, and some dealerships that really knew what they were doing. And
All right here in Southeast Michigan, right?
Southeast Michigan, yeah.
And in the meantime, is your brother still out in California?
He's still in California, yeah. So he did
and
sales.
in fact, your younger brother is also out there working for
he's working for Tesla.
Yeah,
he's working for Tesla,
and he's still out there.
He's still out there.
Yeah.
He survived all those layoffs, and they kept eliminating. He kept getting transferred, and he was like, "Why are you transferring?" They're like, "Yeah, you're transferring." And then like a week later, they like terminated his department.
Oh yeah.
And so it must have been he must have been doing a good job.
Right. There's certain guys we don't mind transferring.
Yes.
Before we end this department.
So, but so I got a job as a finance manager, and I did a really good job there.
Okay.
And I learned some political games, just like in anything in any sort of businesses.
Absolutely.
The political aspect of it. I learned the political game the hard way.
Yeah.
A lot of this story, I learned a lot of things the hard way. I don't know. Yeah,
you know what? But those lessons that you learn are crucial when it comes to what happened to you guys just a few months ago.
Yeah,
a month ago, right? So so we're done with the crappy part of the story.
Yeah,
let's get to the good part. Let's get to the comeback.
The comeback and everything. So I did. So I learned that but I did a great job, and I learned the political game the hard way. And it was 10 o'clock. It was I think it was on a Tuesday, and I realized I didn't play the political game very well, and I was like, oh man. So I was embarrassed, and I spent the day at my parents' house and everything. And by 6 o'clock that evening, I had 6 job offers.
Oh
and,
yeah.
I didn't even tell anybody. This is just how the word spread, and I was like, okay. So I spent the month really investigating different things.
This is when? When are we talking here?
So this is 2012.
Okay. All right.
August of 2012.
Okay.
This is August of 2012. So, I was investing in these job offers. I was told never take a job for money, and somebody was throwing a lot of money at me.
Yeah.
So I took it.
Uh-oh.
Usually you have like a 90-day honeymoon. It was more like a 3-week honeymoon.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this was a bad choice.
Uh-oh.
And
so tell me about that job. What was that?
Yeah, it was another finance manager position.
Okay.
So
for a dealership,
yeah, it was for a dealership
in the region?
Yeah, in the region. Yeah, good people and everything like that. They do a good job. Just personality wise and fit. And I realized it wasn't going to work out.
Yeah.
And so kept in touch with some of the other people that had offered me jobs. One of them was on the company Grass Lake Chevrolet and Chelsea Chevrolet Buick. Wonderful company, family owned, operated. They do a great job, and they'd offered me a job, and it was at their small store in Grass Lake, town of 1,100 people.
Yeah.
Okay. And
they thought Monroe was small.
Yeah.
And then
so 1,100 people, and they don't even have a McDonald's.
That is small.
They give you the small. Yeah, but wonderful community. And so they're selling like 18 cars a month, which is not a lot. So, we're, not a lot of cars.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
No.
So it's, So
how long do you stay there?
So that was the last company I left.
So you've been there since.
I was there
so
since.
Tell us now, let's fast forward to a couple months ago when you guys, how do you get the franchise back?
It was that job.
How did that job get this franchise back?
So I took that job, they sold 18 cars my first month there. When I left, it was in December of this past year. They did 70, and they have another store in Chelsea, who's a town of 5,500. Very competitive market, the whole area. There's 8 Chevy stores within 25 miles of both those stores.
Wow.
So it's very, very competitive.
Yeah.
And we're neighboring the two biggest franchises, Corporation Suburban and LaFontaine, big groups.
Yeah.
They have lots of stores, lots of money.
Absolutely.
And they were, both of them were the 2 closest stores, were their biggest Chevy stores. So that's who I competed all day, every day against. So in the Chelsea store, my last month there, we did, I think we did 85.
85.
And when I
Nice.
started there when I took over the Chelsea store, they were doing about 40, 50. And so in my time there, I doubled sales and I doubled service.
Right.
So, I did a good job there, and I did a good job developing the team.
Now, in the
around
meantime,
me.
let's talk about your dad, because your dad, he battles not just once, not just twice, 3 times. Right?
I lost track of the.
I mean, he kept
I barely
battling
have
with
enough hands
cancer.
on my hand for the cancer.
Yeah, he kept battling cancer for a long, long time, but he's good now.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, they said he would never walk again. He's walking.
Yeah.
And he's skiing, and he can't play golf anymore. But he definitely skis.
Yeah. So is your dad the one that goes to GM or how do you guys get how does this start for you guys to come back?
Well, they were trying to buy
Monroe?
us out. So they offered.
Who was trying to buy you
So
out?
the Staffords. So they were.
They wanted to buy you out
They wanted to buy us out
Recently.
So
Yeah.
about 2 years ago.
because
And
you guys still own what percentage?
we
would you
owned
say?
41.
You own 41.
So we own
Okay.
41%, and so they wanted to buy us out, and they went low
Right.
and kept it low,
Right.
and did everything they can to make sure that we had to take the low price by other means,
Yeah.
and so we had to go other ways to try to get it high, and so they were in the process of trying to get it high. And so they went to General Motors trying to get, they're like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're getting ready to wrap this up. And we were getting pretty close. And General Motors was like, no,
Really?
we can't buy them out. And the reason they couldn't buy them out because the Monroe store was in the bottom 5%
Okay.
of 150 stores.
So now the tables are kind of turned.
The tables in the 2 stores I ran were in the top 15%
Exactly.
in sales effectiveness. So tables are turned, and so General Motors came to us, came to them, and they were like, you need to sell.
Now,
And-
now, technically, this is your dad's dealership.
This is my dad's
or his
dealership.
41%.
Yeah, 41%. So they
So
need my dad's okay to sell.
They need your dad's okay, and your dad, upon finding out that GM is saying no, you're not buying them out, he realizes, hey, maybe there's an opportunity here.
Yeah, so, it's, they're like, hey, here's a buyer, a legitimate buyer, and everything, and money. All we had to do was sign, and this deal was done, and we're looking at a nice chunk of change.
Right.
I mean, it was very nice money,
Yeah,
and it was more.
you
money.
guys were going to be set.
We were going to be all right,
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
not what you wanted.
and we were looking at. We were like, what do we want to do? They're like, do we want to stick in the automotive industry? Do we want to get out? Do we want to try something else? Do we want to? All the possibilities. We're talking California, Arizona, Florida,
Yeah.
South Carolina. We're skiers, Denver, Colorado.
You're thinking,
Let's buy
hey, man,
a store there.
we'll take this money
Let's
and we'll
go.
go somewhere else.
Let's go.
Right? Right.
So we're talking about it, then this starts conversations. What franchises do we want? And we're like, well, we know Chevrolet,
Yeah,
pretty good franchise. Okay,
some cool cars.
some cool cars. And we're like, okay, how about the area, the market? What kind of market? And we're like, okay, what we can do. And we're like, well, we know the Monroe market.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool market. I think they like us.
Right.
And
They already know our name.
They already know our name. It has a Cadillac franchise too. And we're like, maybe we could put this together. And we're like, all right, well, if they're willing to sell to somebody else, maybe they'll sell to us. And so we're like, so we called General Motors, and my dad does, and he's like, hey, if we put an offer to buy this, you guys say okay? And they're like, well, who's going to run it? He's like, well, my son John. He goes, all right, good. And he's like,
So the guy that couldn't sell squat right when he was 25,
yes.
and now he's like turning dealerships into top 15% performers.
Correct.
And so now GM all of a sudden is saying, hey, we like you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we're like, all right, let's give this a whirl. And then we're like, yeah, that's right. This thing costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we're like,
So now you got to get some financing.
now
right?
we got to get some money.
Right.
And So we reached out to, a bunch of banks and everything, and we put together a very, very nice game plan. And from the market, and, the more we looked into this, into the deal, because, I understood that, the dealership wasn't doing as good as it should have been, but I never really looked deep into it. And we started looking into it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we could do a great job here.
Yeah.
I mean, phenomenal. And, we're like, there's so much untapped potential. Let's put it together. So I put together a forecast and everything, presented to the banks, and the banks are like, yeah, this deal makes sense.
So let me ask you this. What percentage of Allen Chevrolet Cadillac do you guys own?
That'd be 100%.
No, 100%.
100%.
And that might account for the fact that all of the signs now just say Allen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And no regrets. This is plan A. There is no plan B, right?
We got to make this work. I mean, we had to throw our own money into this bad boy too.
Yeah.
And everything into it. And, we believe in it. We believe in, in General Motors. We believe in the Chevrolet and Cadillac. But more importantly, we believe in this community.
Cool.
And because we could have got a Chevy store somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were like.
But you wanted to come back. Even though, really, you had a lot of, I suppose a lot of tough memories here, right?
Yeah. My last memory of Monroe was basically leaving with our tail between our legs.
Yeah, right.
So
now you're coming back, chest puffed out again, right? Ready to go, and you're ready to roll here in Monroe.
We're ready,
and everybody's going to see what you guys are made of now.
Yeah,
right?
that's what we're here for, and that's what we're trying to get the word out. And a lot of people don't realize that we're back, and we realize that because we were creating a business development center for phone calls. The number one complaint people usually have with car dealerships or any businesses, nobody called me back.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
So, can someone just call me, let me know my car's done?
Right.
Okay, can someone just, call me back with what the payment is of the car that I'm interested in buying? So we put together a whole department, or call me back, let me know my lease is coming up, or if there's a nice deal going on that might interest me. So we put together a whole department, and so we're calling customers, and they're like, we would never do business with the Stanfords again. And we're like, either would we. So we're the Allens.
Yeah, we're done with those clowns.
We're done, and at least give us the opportunity. You don't have to buy from us. At least give us the opportunity. What we do with the opportunity is up to us. And we believe we're going to earn everybody's business. And we need the opportunity. And, just taking a look at the numbers in March, 30% of the Chevrolets sold, or people who live in Monroe County who bought Chevrolets, only 30% of them gave us an opportunity to buy.
Really?
70% of them. That was 115 people drove further, not to do business in Monroe.
Yeah. Then we can't have that.
115, 70% of the people, and I'm like, I know we didn't do the best job last month. It was our first month, but we didn't lose that many opportunities.
Right.
And so we just need, all we ask is
get the word out.
We just got to get the word out.
Yeah,
that we're here.
People are still thinking. It takes time to change a reputation.
It does.
And unfortunately, after you guys left, you guys, the timing was just terrible. In 2008, 2009, when things went.
It was rough.
Yeah, everybody around here knows that. So now you guys are back, and you got lots of plans. But really, what you're saying to people right now here in Monroe is, come back and give us one more chance. Right?
Give us the opportunity, and there's a lot of things that we're doing. There's a lot of people or businesses. They say, hey, we're different. We do a great job, but they don't implement that. And we're doing it by a team atmosphere that we're here to serve. It's something that we say a lot, not only to serve our customers, but to serve our employees. Right. I believe if you take care of your employees will take care of your customers, and your customers will take care of you.
Absolutely.
And treat people how you want to be treated. And I like being treated well.
Yeah.
So therefore, I want to treat everybody else well.
And John, that's why I wanted to go so deeply into how you guys lost the franchise and what you personally had to do to build your life back up after eating some of that humble pie back in your early 20s, right?
I ate the whole thing.
You darn right.
Exactly. I think I may have asked for seconds at some point.
but you took that bitter pill, you swallowed it, and you got a lot better as a result of that.
Yeah.
You learned so much, and I think that journey is so important in determining what's going to happen to Allen Chevrolet Cadillac now, right?
Yeah, no, we're really, really excited. We a lot of things that we're implementing in transparency. So we're focusing on being transparent, okay, with the process, with everything. The biggest thing, people, they don't know. They're not familiar with the car buying process, just like getting a roof done or anything like this. Can someone just like show me what's up?
Yeah.
So we're being transparent. We're doing everything we can on that. But we're trying to work on our effectiveness and our efficiency and customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
And obviously the price has to be there. If the price isn't there, nobody's going to do business with you. But a lot of things people are focusing on, we were talking about earlier a little bit or before the show was, Amazon. The cheapest price isn't on Amazon. Okay. It's a fair price, but it's speed and it's transparency, and it's effectiveness and it's customer satisfaction. So that's something that we're really, really focusing on, is making sure that we're offering those things. And so that's why, we have our 48-hour buyback. It's, it's basically a return policy, but as soon as you go over the curb, you own that car. So I have to buy it back.
Yeah.
So if you're not happy with how you're treated or the deal, or you thought you got bamboozled or it was the wrong car or whatever the reason is, I'll buy it back from you. 4 to 8 hours. So, it's drive it, and if you're like, hey, I could have got a better deal down the road, then bring it back and I'll buy it.
And that's the kind of thing you probably did in other dealerships when you were there. You were figuring out, hey, this is what works. It's how you earn the trust, right?
Correct. We had it at the other dealerships that I ran, and I think we bought back like 3, and that was because one person realized that we bought it back from him. We were like, okay, so what do you want to do with your car? He goes, no, I don't need that. I just don't need a car. I can't afford anything. We were like, oh, well, good luck with that. And then
want to buy a bike?
Yeah, and then another one was just an older individual. And he realized he didn't need a car, and we're like, all right, that's fine. We want to put you in a bad spot.
Right.
We don't need that car deal that bad.
Right.
And then another one, and this was over years.
Yeah.
Was the person just realized that it was actually on a pre-owned car that they just didn't like that car.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'll take it.
So John, it's you are the general manager.
Yes.
And your brother you got him. You brought him back from California,
from San Diego. Yeah, with his girlfriend.
From where it's 81 degrees every day.
Yeah, it's beautiful there,
and it's beautiful all the time. He's going to come back to the wonderful weather that we have in Monroe, depending on what day it is and what hour it is.
Correct.
And he did that because, hey, it's family business. We're going to make this thing work.
Well,
right?
it was family. Family needs to stick together, and during this process, it really brought us together closely as a family.
Yeah.
He was the best man at my wedding. Yeah, basically 2 best men with both my brothers.
Yeah.
And we're really close, and basically we had to buy a dealership for him to come back. And it was luckily I'm pretty good at selling now, because that was a tough sell. And they get him come back, and he does a wonderful job. He was the general sales manager of a Ford Kia dealership there.
Yeah.
And so he did a really good job working through the ranks and up, and from a salesperson all the way to a GSM, and they sold a lot of cars there. And for him to come back here to Michigan, and
his role at the dealership is going to be...
he's the general sales manager. So,
okay.
He's the one implementing all these great ideas that come out of my mouth.
Oh, nice.
And so I put that responsibility on. No pressure, Mike.
All right. Listen, hey, that's all the time we have for this edition of This Is Our Town. I want to welcome you back. It's great to have you guys back. It's nice to have just the nice, familiar Allen Chevrolet Cadillac.
Thank you.
And then I'd like to invite you back again. Maybe we can talk about cars.
Yeah, let's do it.
I love cars.
Well, that's awesome.
And
I sell cars.
I know you do.
And I fix them too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we fix them too.
Good to know. And I love Corvettes, even though I'll never be able to afford one because I have a government job.
Well, we just bought an 03 Corvette.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I didn't see that on your website.
Well, we just bought it today, and I think it'll probably be under $10,000.
All right, we're going to talk about that.
All right.
We're going to talk about that. All right, cool. So you come back and we'll talk about lots of cars.
All right, sounds good.
All right. John Allen, I want to thank you so much for being on This Is Our Town and welcome you guys back. It's great to have you, and we'll see you soon.
All right, see ya.
All right, and that's all the time we have for this edition of This Is Our Town. I'm Jeff Yorkie. I want to thank everybody for listening, and have a great day and a great weekend, everybody. So long.
Join us every Sunday at noon and Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another edition of This Is Our Town with Jeff Yorkie, a local public affairs presentation of MonroeCountyRadio.com.
This is our town, the place we call home.